Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, and today we're going to be talking about how to write a thriller. And not just a thriller, but a thriller that really, truly has a chance of success. So today we'll actually be going through how to write the next Chinatown. And this was, for some people, this was considered, and I've heard it over and over, to be one of the best scripts ever written. So it is worth analyzing it. So let's, yeah. So what we'll do today is we'll talk about first the purpose of a thriller. So it's really, really clear. What you don't want to write is a drama with thriller elements. And I'll tell you why up front. It's because it's hard for them to sell. If they go to the thriller audience and pitch it as a thriller, when they show up, they're going to be disappointed because it doesn't have all, it's not a 100% thriller. If they pitch it to the drama audience, well, yes, you can probably do that if you just hold back on the thriller part. My advice to you would be make it a thriller, make it a really strong thriller. So I'll give you the 5 keys to great thrillers so you can make sure that you honor those and that when you go to pitch your script, when a producer reads it, they're just going to say yes, which is what you need. I'll walk you through how to create a thriller map because this is the thing that's missing for most people, is what I'm calling a thriller map. You'll see when we get there how important it is. And then we'll talk about the upcoming class, Mastering the Thriller Genre. Now, yeah, which we've had so many people who have absolutely loved it. We've had people who have come out of this class, ended up getting a deal based on the script that they wrote in that program. So, purpose of a thriller first. We're going to be analyzing Chinatown as we talk about this. The purpose of a thriller is to keep your audience on the edge of their seat. That's the first thing, and that's important. That's why, when thriller audiences go to movies, that's the experience they're looking for. And you keep them on their seat with high stakes, with plot twist, and with suspense that never lets up until the adrenaline-packed climax. So do that, and you are going to have first producers that love your script, people in this industry that want to work with you, and you will have audiences that will rave about your movie. So, how do we do that? First, you start with an intriguing concept. Incredibly important, by the way. If you have just kind of an average concept or again, a drama concept, it's going to be hard to sell. Having an intriguing concept means you are starting so far ahead. You already have one of the keys to a successful thriller, which is intrigue. So in this case, we've got a narcissist millionaire. In today's world, he would be a billionaire. A narcissist millionaire who covertly steals billions of dollars of land just north of Los Angeles from the farmers that he puts out of business. Now, let me show you what that land looks like today. Because if this is right down here is Los Angeles. This is the land that he stole, and in real, this is a true story. It's based upon a lot of true facts. Let's say it that way. But this was all farmland at that point. And take a look at what it is. We got Glendale, which, if you don't know Glendale, uh, beautiful city. Burbank, where a lot of business is happening in this industry. Studio City, of course, where a lot of the studios are, or at least some of them. North Hollywood, Calabasas, which is a huge business community. Woodland Hills, this is all prime real estate. We're talking billions and billions of dollars worth of land that was stolen that this movie was based upon. So, your key to success starts with number one, mystery, intrigue, and suspense. This is, you want to build your entire story, start to finish around these, because this is what your audience is looking for. Think about it when you go to see a thriller. Aren't you going in to, to have that experience of trying to figure out the mystery, right? To be deeply engaged in the intrigue, to be wondering constantly what's going to happen, and to enjoy that kind of movie experience. So, a mystery. This is the secret, question, or puzzle that must be solved for the hero to survive. That's really important. If you actually set up a mystery where the stakes are the hero is either going to live or die based upon whether they solve it, you're going to have your audience much more deeply engaged in this movie. So the opening mystery must suck us in, right? And it sucked the hero in to the main mysteries of the story. And I'll walk through the mysteries that are in Chinatown in just a moment. Then you have intrigue, the covert, underhanded, or clandestine force or plan of the villain. So we have a villain. I'll introduce you to him in just a moment. He's got a serious, covert, underhanded, clandestine plan. Uh, so our key on this is that you start with the villain's plan rather than the hero's plight. And let me just pause for a second, because we can solve one of the big problems that most people have right now. A lot of people tell me they're trying to write a thriller and they get stuck in the second act. And it's like, there's a reason why. I ask them, how did you start? What were you thinking of? Well, what have you written so far? And they'll tell me basically they've written the hero's part of the journey. And now they got to the middle of the second act and they don't know where it's going to go from here. If you want to write a great thriller, start with the villain's plan. Yes, you're going to have a hero. Yes, you're going to be thinking about them throughout and all that kind of thing. But the villain's plan started years before this movie began. And what happened is back here, the villains set up their plan. We're about this point, and now the hero steps into it. So if you're talking the whole story, most of it happened before we see the hero. So, and that's important to know, because if you start with a villain's plan, writing a thriller is pretty easy. If you start with the hero, not knowing what your villain's plan is, you got a really good chance of getting stuck in that second act. So the villain is essentially the writer of the hero's demise. The villain, again, that plan has been in place this whole time. They've been often, they have already set it up so that if somebody finds out, they're in serious trouble. So then our third part, suspense. This is the escalating danger that the hero must survive. The more you escalate that danger, the more suspense we as an audience are going to be in. So this keeps us on the edge of our seats. And that's what you need, right? This is the big experience that everybody's going to watch a thriller for. Whether they think of it consciously or unconsciously, they're looking for that particular experience. So, mystery, intrigue, and suspense. Let's go to this particular movie. There's actually 4 mysteries that keep us engaged. The first one is the fake Mrs. Mulwray. She shows up. We got Jake, who has been doing divorce cases, right? I'd say he's probably at a fairly low level of being any kind of private detective. And this lady comes in, asks him to find her husband and get a picture of her husband and his mistress. It then turns out that that picture gets put in the newspaper in order to make the head of the water company look really bad and to discredit him. That's Hollis Mulwray. So at this point, we find out that Miss Mulray was fake. That sucks Jake into this second conspiracy, this second mystery, which is what's going on with this water company? Why is this guy, Mr. Mulray, out there looking at, the different water ducts and recognizing that they've been dumping water like crazy and haven't been giving it to the farmers? What's that about? Now then we come to mystery number 3, which is Evelyn's strange behavior. She acts angry in the beginning, then she acts guilty, then she acts innocent, then she's guilty again, right? And she's not wanting to pursue this, even though uh, something terrible has happened to her husband, all kinds of things like that. Which ultimately brings us to Noah Cross's sins. And he's got quite a few of them. Now, the intrigue. This is the covert, underhanded, clandestine plan, right? In this case, it's about the farmland. It's the covert land grab and water manipulation by Noah Cross. He's dumping the water that's supposed to go to all of these farms. Because of that, their crops are failing and they end up having to sell. They're going bankrupt. They have to sell for 10 cents on the dollar. Uh, and then the suspense, the escalating danger. Gittes is repeatedly warned to stop digging into this case, which is not normal. The more he investigates, the more dangerous it becomes, leading to murder, deception, personal peril for him, right? So it's like, we've got this first part, key number 1, the mystery, the intrigue, the suspense. It's all built in, and it's part of what made this one of the best written scripts ever. Now let's go to the second part, delivering on the thriller conventions. Here we start, the thriller conventions, these are the expectations of the audience and the distributors. And if you think conventions aren't important, just sit there one day with whoever your friends are and say, hey, what kind of movie would you like to see? And you'll hear people say, before they start talking about the movies, a lot of times, you'll hear them say, well, I don't want to go see a horror movie. I'm okay with a thriller, a comedy, a rom-com, whatever it is. They're talking about the genres. And then if you take them to one of those movies and it actually doesn't fulfill the genres, they're going to walk out saying, there's something wrong with that movie, or I didn't like that movie. Because the audience expects certain things. On thrillers, they expect one thing. On rom-coms, they expect something almost completely opposite. And in horror movies, what they're expecting there. They want horror. So these are important. So in this one, our hero needs to be unwitting but resourceful. And this is another thing that's important. If you put a hero in who doesn't know what they're doing, that doesn't fit a thriller. Often that fits a drama, and we're watching the emotional issues they're going through as they're incompetent and getting called on things. Here, what we have is an unwitting hero. He gets sucked into something. He has no idea what it's about, but he's resourceful. He's a private detective. He actually does know what he's doing. He knows how to investigate. He knows when something's wrong, right? He's resourceful, but unwitting. So that puts him in on one side, he's doing the thing that he does. And on the other side, he has no idea what he's up against. And that's, in this case, dangerous. So this is our guy here, Jake Gittes. And you'll see, this is after he's already gotten beat up once by Noah Cross's people. They ended up cutting his nose, and yeah, it was pretty disturbing. But he's unwitting because he's caught off guard. He's scammed into getting the pictures of Catherine, Mulray's daughter, an illegitimate child of Noah Cross, but he doesn't know both of these when it happens. He's resourceful. He's a capable detective. with the connections to investigate. So that's our hero. Let's go look at our villain. This guy, he is dangerous, devious, unrelenting, right? Noah Cross, again, you know, he's a millionaire at that point who would have been a billionaire today. And yeah, so the villain's plan makes it difficult for the hero to survive. He doesn't want anyone finding out what's going on now or ever, really. He wants to take the entire valley without any problems, any issues, and especially without any investigations. So he's dangerous up front. Remember, dangerous, devious, unrelenting. He is dangerous. We find out later on he raped his daughter. He killed Hollis Mulwray, his daughter's husband. He is devious. He's scheming these farmers. He's scheming. He's using the water department to do it, and he's scheming them. And he's scheming the city planners. So he's got some serious stuff going on, and he's going to benefit from it easily. He is motivated by billions in profit and the need to cover up his crimes. Wow. Motivated by billions in profits, because even if he's spending millions right now to buy that farmland, it's going to turn into some of the best land, you know, in this area, which is, yeah, pretty amazing. And then we have a red herring. Your red herring becomes the primary suspect, at least at one point in the show or movie. That draws attention away from the real villain. And it gives us somebody that we think is it. This is clearly the bad person. This is the villain. We think that while other things are being set up behind the scenes so that we could be watching and talking with Noah Cross and have no idea because we're positive his daughter did it. So this is our red herring here. It's Evelyn Mulwray, the wife of Hollis Mulwray, who has died early in the movie, and the daughter of Noah Cross. So she is connected to all of these people. I don't think she ever smiles throughout this whole movie. Maybe, I just don't remember. Possible crime, killing her husband, kidnapping Catherine. So she has Catherine, but she's Catherine's mother. We don't know that at that point. We don't know what's going on. We just know that she went and got Catherine, who is the person who looked like had an affair with her husband. The big reveal, she's Catherine's mother and sister. You may remember that scene. Who are you? I'm her mother. I'm her sister. I'm her mother. I'm her mother and her sister, which makes her the victim of Noah Cross, which is a pretty interesting reveal. Just looking at first how it was set up, and then ultimately how it's revealed and how surprising it is at that point, and really shocking it is. You know, and how it changes their relationship is also pretty interesting. Really high quality reveal. You want to be able to write like that. We need high stakes that are worth killing for. These are all still part of the thriller conventions. High stakes worth killing for. In this case, it's the entire San Fernando Valley, worth billions of dollars. We need either a real or symbolic life and death situations. In this case, we do have life and death situations. Hollis Mulwray dies. Ida Sessions dies. We have the safety of Catherine. We have the farmers losing their livelihood. And ultimately, we have Evelyn's death so that Noah Cross can take Catherine. So, and the movie is thrilling because, and this is Catherine, by the way, We're engaged in a series of mysteries with surprising reveals. Now, I want to pause right here. This question, Cheryl and I were pitching at one point. We had optioned a book that was a thriller, and we were pitching it to producers. And the first producer we pitched it to said, "And just tell me, the movie is thrilling because..." And I don't know what I said. I remember kind of stumbling through it, but it wasn't a good enough answer. So we were on the way to the next pitch. We were in our car at that point, and we started talking about this. Okay, how do we answer that question? The movie is thrilling because. Over the next 2 weeks, we pitched that project to probably 25 production companies, most of them live. I got that question 4 times. So it is worth making sure you know the answer to that. So you start with the villain's covert plan. Again, this is how I recommend you write this. You know, you may figure out who your hero is, but then I would immediately go back and say, okay, what's the villain's plan? Because again, long before the movie started, Noah Cross formed his plan. He had already been shutting off the water. He had already been buying up property, right? It was happening at that moment. This plan had been in place for at least 10 years. And these are the things. He took control of the water department. He diverted water from the valley. He set up multiple covers for his activities. He created accounts at the retirement home. And if you don't remember this, this is actually pretty interesting. It was like all of these people in the retirement home who couldn't even hardly sign their names. Most of them were pretty all the way into dementia at that point. They all had accounts and they owned huge amounts of property there. And ultimately, it was all going to be signed over to him. And he bought the land at 1/10 of its value. So this was all of this stuff had already happened before Jake even found out who his client was at the beginning of this movie. So you build this in, you give your villain a head start. They've got this major covert plan. They're doing something that is going to become the basis for the mysteries of this story. Then there's trust and betrayal, right? It's like your hero is thrust into this world of intrigue. There's all kinds of covert activity, a devious villain. Because of that, many of the players are not trustable, right? Take a look at who he's looking at here. And the question is, who do they trust that they shouldn't? And basically, she fits that role in the beginning. He trusted a lady who played her part. That was the first part of it, who turned out he shouldn't have trusted. Then he believed her at the beginning, and was basically trusting her, and then found out that there was something under that surface, which then takes us to who do they not trust that they should. And so at the point that this is happening right here, he doesn't believe her. He doesn't trust her anymore. He's pretty positive that Mrs. Mulwray, Evelyn here, is lying to him about everything. And then he finds out that he really should trust her. She's a victim in this situation also. And just know, if you're writing this well, betrayal is inevitable. And betrayal is one of those emotions that everyone in your audience is going to feel at that moment. You want to make sure you build in at least 1 or 2 strong betrayals. So one more step here. Remember, the hero is thrust into this world of intrigue, covert activity, devious villain. Nope, actually, I already covered this. Let's go down to this. Betrayal. The police, who Gittes expects to help him, ultimately sides with Cross. You know, it's like he can't trust the police. He absolutely can't trust Noah Cross. The misplaced distrust. He distrust Evelyn, you know, and actually, if we back up, he actually didn't trust Hollis in the beginning. He believed the fake Miss Mulwray. He thought he was taking a picture of Hollis and his mistress. Didn't know that that actually was essentially his daughter, or however you want to call it at that point. So then key number 5. Create a thriller map. Now, this is something that we created, a thriller map, because we started seeing all the different layers that you needed to be able to solve. So the thriller map itself delivers on the marketable concept, the character journeys, and it gives real clarity on the 10 layers of a great thriller. Having a well-designed thriller map is going to do all of these things for you. It's going to make your script more professional. It triples the speed of writing, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. It makes it complex, but not confusing. And this is one of the biggest problems that writers have. When they go to make their story complex, it becomes confusing for the audience. And there's that question, how much complexity is enough? How much is too much? And by the way, how do you design that? And then it shows a great thriller map. When you have a great thriller map, it shows that you're a great writer. Now, let me just take you over here. And I want to tell you this story first. If you know who Joe Eszterhas is, he's written a bunch of thrillers, but one of the thrillers he wrote was Basic Instinct. And if you think that Basic Instinct isn't a well-written movie, wait till you see our analysis on it. It is incredibly complex. It does everything we're talking about, and it does it in a way so the audience never gets confused, never gets lost. When the movie came out, they always have a press junket, and the actors are talking and the directors are talking, and sometimes the producers are talking to the press. But they also usually bring out the writer. And usually when they bring the writer in, they need to give them something fun and interesting to say. So the studio talked with Joe Eszterhas beforehand, and when they asked him, this is one of the questions the press was given to ask him. They said, "How long did it take you to write this incredibly complex story?" And Joe Eszterhas said, 13 days. Now, that was, again, you just have to watch that movie for the level of complexity. That was astounding. And everybody called him a genius. It was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. 20 years later, he's in an interview, and the person interviewing him asked him this question, and this is how much it stuck with people. He said, "Was that really true? Did you really write that movie in 13 days?" And Joe Eszterhas said, "Yes, I did. I wrote it in 13 days. He said, "But it took me 10 years to figure out how to write it." Now, listen, this is important. The problem, again, that most people have is when they're trying to write a thriller is that it's incredibly complex. And how do you put all these pieces together? How do you create the need for us to know? How do you create the mystery, the intrigue, the suspense, all of that kind of stuff? And Joe Eszterhas just told us it took him 10 years to figure it out. The reason it took him 10 years to figure it out was because he didn't have a thriller map. He was just trying to put together the pieces at that point. So let me just walk you through the thriller map, that once he solved one of those key things, he was able to write that script in 13 days. So it starts with the thriller conventions. Make sure that you are delivering on those. Then we have mystery, intrigue, and suspense, which is what the whole thing is really about. Underneath that, intriguing world and characters. If your world is intriguing and your characters are, you're so much ahead of this game. Then plot twist, trust and betrayal, reveals, clue trails, and ultimately misdirection. Now, let me just give you one more step on this, because all of this has to go together. It all has to go together in a way that makes sense. So again, the thriller map delivers on the marketable concept, the character journeys, and it gives us all 10 of those layers. If you have a well-designed thriller map, you know the what, you know the how, right? And you know how to sequence and layer each of the components. And this is incredibly important. You won't end up getting lost in the second act. You won't end up not being able to figure out what's next or how do I do it. And you won't be confused when you're writing it. Even more important, you'll be able to finish it out. So let me just show you something real fast, because this is incredibly important. I'm going to show you what the thriller map works, how it works in just a moment. But I want to take you over and just give you a chance to look at an easy way to be able to create these. So let's go over here just a moment. Sorry, just give me a second. Hang on, let's make this easier. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay. So this is ChatGPT. You guys have probably already worked with it. One of the things that we want to do is to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to create your project and to be able to come in with something that is great that you can write very, very quickly. So what I did on this is I gave it a prompt that's on how to create these projects. I have a project that's a sci-fi thriller. It has the subject on it. It's a moon-based prison collapses into tunnels that were created by aliens, right? So it's just a real simple idea. I put that in, and what it's given me, real simply, is it gives me a version of the concept in 25 words or less. This one, a convicted hacker must escape a collapsing moon prison after discovering that it was built atop buried alien tech. And it's waking up. All right, interesting. Then it gives me a main conflict for it. I won't read it right now. It gives me a surprising twist that could go into the story, a deeper layer, an intriguing world, and then why is this a thriller? All of those things you need to know to be able to make your project as interesting and as compelling as possible. Now, on this one, we didn't set it up where it just gave us one. We have 3 different projects. So I get to choose between the 3. I get to look at different parts. And if I want, I might put this concept together with this intriguing world, with this deeper layer, right? There's all kinds of things you can do. But the reason for this, the reason we created this, was to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to generate and create a project, right? So here I'm taken to the next step where I'm basically asking it, hang on, to give me all of these along with thriller conventions, right? So this is the basic stuff on that project. And now we're going down to characters. So we have a hero, we have a villain, we have a red herring character, we have key supporting character. And from that, yeah, now with this, we at least have enough to be able to look at this project and to really consider it and to work with it and to play with it, right? I don't want AI writing anybody's stuff, but when it comes to brainstorming, if you've got the right kind of prompts, if you've got the right project or the right way, method of working with it, it can give you some pretty incredible things. And by the way, if you look at it and you go, I like parts of this hero. I like some of the traits, but I don't like this one. I think it ought to be stronger than just being self-doubting. Uh, you can brainstorm it, right? So this is just kind of a starting place. It keeps you from being stuck looking at a blank page, trying to figure out things. And I'm showing you that because this is actually the very first thing that you get when you join us for this upcoming program. So let me just take you over there and I'll show you what else there is. Just a moment here. Just a second. There we go. So basically, part of what it's going to do, it's going to help you figure out the beginnings of your thriller map from before you even start the actual class. So that you'll be coming in way ahead of things. You'll be coming in with a project that you've played with, you've worked with, you've brought your creativity to, but it started and it gave you a really strong structure. And by the way, I'm not asking you to keep anything that AI gives you. The way we've got our projects set up, our prompts, it brings and gives you ideas that are new and interesting, things you haven't seen before. So it gives you a chance to be able to start way ahead of the game. If you want to bring in something else you've already written, you absolutely can do that. But here's the class, and I'm going to give you a special on it in just a moment. Before day one, you'll brainstorm some concepts and use whatever method you'd like. If you want to use our AI method, absolutely, I will send it to you. And you can go through and brainstorm 4 or 5 or more concepts and pick the best. Once you come in, then it's going to be about making sure that the conventions of thrillers are really strong in your project. And by the way, every day of this class, you are going to be learning, but you'll also be writing your own project, right? So every assignment is about your project. Day 2, you're going to look at the big mystery, intrigue, and suspense. Make sure they're as strong as they can be. Day 3, now the intriguing world and the characters to make sure that they fit and they're designed. If you have a world that's not intriguing, you just gave up a whole bunch of the possibility of making your thriller great. If you have characters that could fit in a drama instead of a thriller, wow, you just dropped these two, you dropped about 30% of what's possible. Day 4, we're going to give you a model that you've never seen before on how to stack suspense, how to make sure that every single scene is deeply, deeply engaging and keeps your audience wondering. Day 5, 6, 7, all of these ultimately are going to create your plot. Excuse me. So on day 5, you're going to make sure you create the villain's plan, which is all based around intrigue, right? Day 6, now you're going to craft the big mystery sequence. You saw in Chinatown, they had 4 mysteries in a row. And first, you want to be able to craft that. Second, you want to sequence it in a way that works. Day 7, now it's about the life-threatening suspense. And you will map these out all the way across your story so that by the time you get here, you'll intertwine them. And on day 8, you now have a plot that is completely thriller. Now you can build another genre in, like on the one I was just showing you, it was a sci-fi thriller. But anybody who watches your movie will come out saying, wow, that was an incredible thriller. So now you have your plot that delivers thriller in a big way. Now it's about plot twist, that surprise, then trust and betrayal, then creating demand for reveals. This right here, as a writer, this will change your life. Once you understand our reveal model, how do you set it up? How do you create demand for those reveals? You will have any script you write from now on will be so much stronger because you'll have these deep emotional reveals that the audience is craving. They need to know the answer. Day 12, how to build in engaging clue trails. 13, how to misdirect your audience without confusing. All of these, everything we're doing here is about making sure you don't confuse. Day 14, how to evaluate your thriller map or elevate your thriller map to make it the best it can be. And day 5, now how to translate that map into a screenplay. We have had people who have gone through this whole class who have never written a thriller before, who after the class with their thriller map were able to write their screenplay in between 15 to 30 days. One lady, Delia Colvin, wrote her script she wrote it in 17 days. She went to a producer that she had met online at one point. He had turned down her previous project. She got this script into him and he optioned it and they moved forward immediately. So this makes a tremendous difference. Let me give you the dates on it and then I'll give you a special. It starts on May 12th. This gives you a couple of weeks or basically a little over a month, to work with brainstorming ideas. So I would recommend using our prompt 4, 5, 6 times, and as you brainstorm, put together whatever you think is the best version for you. It's a 30-day class. These are the lessons. They're every other day. Every single lesson you're going to be learning and growing. The normal price on it is $199. Our special, this is for the first 10 people, you get in at $129. That means you're going to save $70. And you're going to go through this class that will change your life as a writer. There are so many things in here that you will learn that you will use in every script you write from now on, but especially you will have a truly professional model for writing thrillers. Here's the link. It looks kind of small here, but just write it down, bit.ly, bit.ly /thriller-class. There's no spaces, there's no capitals. Again, just write this down, bit.ly, bit.ly /thriller-class. Put that in your browser where you normally put a web address, click return, and come join us to become a great thriller writer. Over the course of this program, you will learn so many things that you may have, some of which you may have noticed, but many of which you may have never seen before, because this is a model that we created. We created it based on analyzing some of the top thriller movies out there and then working with thriller writers and thriller producers. So I promise you, you will be learning things every day and it will make a tremendous difference for you. Again, to get the special, just be one of the first 10. You get in at $129, which saves you $70. So again, the link is bit.ly /thriller-class. Come on in, join us, and write the best script of your life. And then from this point on, you'll just keep getting better as you write thriller after thriller after thriller. So it was great hanging out with you. Can't wait to see you in the class. With that, this is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, wishing you the absolute best. Bye-bye, everyone.